What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today we have a little bit of a different video as the September content patch is here, and there's a little sprinkle of some changes, and those sprinkles are big because we have Activate coming to some cards that should already be in your collection, and this card gets a major freaking bump in how it's going to perform altogether. So I wanted to break this down mainly because I didn't do an OTA video last time with all the buffs. I've just been itching for one of these videos, if I'm being honest. Let's go ahead and jump on in. All right, so we have to start with what I think is the biggest change by far to a card that quite literally everybody should own, and that is Hellcow. Old Betsy here is going from a 4-8, of course, with the on reveal that nobody played, discarding 2 cards from your hand, just way too much risk for a little reward. But now we've got a 4-6, so just a couple power stats down with Activate. Discard 2 cards from your hand. This right here, guys, Old Betsy, this is the patch. This is a massive change, not just for obviously a card that nobody was playing and a character that virtually no one knows, but also discard is going way up. If you guys have been playing Snap for a long time, discard equals risk for reward, right? Back in the day, Blade was random, Swordmaster was random. That changes today. Pretty much Lady Sif was the only way to target a discard. And now with Moon Knight, we're getting a lot of targeting, and we're adding Activate to the freaking mix, which is just going to change the way and the strategy that these decks are played and probably even constructed, which is extremely exciting for not a stale archetype, but we always knew what we had in discard. We have a card coming out in Scorn later next month, but besides that, it's needed some love, and here we freaking go. So right away, guys, playing this down just means it's safer to get rid of cards later on, right? And this is going to be big for maybe combining this with MODOK on a turn 5, getting a lot of discards on your Apocalypse, or late turn 6, you can do the same. For me, I think we're going to see how this evolves. The pinnable discard's going to be great, but freaking Hella is where I see the biggest potential. Yes, some low stats here, but what we can do is put in so many big cards. You put down Hellcow at any point, activate Old Betsy on turn 6, play Hella down safely, and then those discards happen to your hand, and then Hella is safe and sound and reveal. So you get 2 more extra discards with the Hella. This is just a small taste of what we can do, and I think it's going to be massive for the archetype altogether. But if you thought that's all we had for discard today, you're wrong. But wait, there's more. Swordmaster is going from really the same stat line. He's still a 3-7, and he doesn't get Activate. Sadly, he doesn't get an Activate ability, but they've made him the inverse to Moon Knight. Except his stats are cracked. You're not going to get rid of something in your opponent's hand, but he targets odd cost cards. So 1, 3, and 5, right? And which is great. This is fantastic because this will give us a new way to continue targeting cards that we want to play. And he was kind of the only one left without this target ability. And so he naturally didn't make many decks even with the stat line. However, now we've got a stat line. We've got the target ability. And it's a little awkward. If you look at discard as a whole, not a lot of cards you want to discard. Like all the even cost cards, APOC, Proxima Midnight, are still good. Really what I see here is X23. But also, if you want to play him in a Hella deck or even a Ghost Rider deck, you can get rid of targeted 5-cost cards, let's say like Iron Man if you want to, right? And you know it's going to hit the 5-cost card. However, I thought to myself, where I see this probably being utilized is in Black Knight. One of my favorite cards at the moment. Black Knight down, you play Swordmaster on 3, and if you have something like a Red Skull, you know it's going to target the Red Skull. 14 power, Ebony Blade, bada bing, bada boom. That's where I see this working with good stat line. We'll have to see how he kind of works in here altogether. Hellcow, it's funny. It's a character nobody knows. Like, Hellcow's got to be towards the bottom of the list of just Snap cards. However, it's going to be funny how much this card is now played, added to discard decks. But we're not done. We got one more Activate card. Again, it's a smaller patch, but we've got some big changes here. And that's Black Swan, our other Activate card that you probably played very little of. I believe she was in the February season pass, if you guys do have her. She was a 3-5 on reveal until the end of next turn. You could play 1-cost cards for 0. But now, guys, she's a 2-3, still good stat line. Activate until your next turn. Your 1-cost cards cost 0. And this is major, obviously, because Black Swan, the reason she wasn't played, and it took just a quick week to find this out, really a day, was she was awkward. You really didn't play her all that much. There are some decks that thrive with her and that do well, but for the most part, you had 1 or 2 turns to kind of get this thing going, or it felt awkward and you wanted to do other things. Most notably, I loved the synergy she had with like Sasquatch. that was really solid in those deck lists. But outside of that, not a lot of homes for her. Nowadays, we'll have to see how this is going to impact her. They're not even sure, as they stated in the notes, if this is going to be a good change or not. I'm thinking it should be. Right off the bat, guys, Balance is going to love this, being able to play Falcon and activate this, get those cards back, activate the Swan that you put out early, and then you can kind of curve into that later in the match, right, to activate the Sasquatch. But also, we've got Zulus that this can work with. Thanos decks, obviously, where they probably intended her home to be originally. Werewolf by Night, single-handedly, massive change for him. A lot of one-cost cards with On Reveal. Black Swan is going to synergize with it. And so the decks behind me, I think, are going to be her best home if you want something to start off on. I'll be making a video on these probably midweek. We'll do a Rania tomorrow. But altogether, it's cool. We have one card that, you know, maybe not everybody has, but definitely we can work, plug, and play with her now a tad more. But then we also have freaking insane changes to discard. And outside of that, we have a list of bug changes. We obviously had the huge OTA from last Thursday, so a lot of change up in the air. New card today. We have a new league season that I'll be doing a video on pretty much shortly after that. So 2 videos, 1 day. Stay tuned. Can't wait. But anyway, guys, it's exciting. I'm excited to see what old cards get activated. I'm hoping they do more. I think it adds something fresh and new to everybody's collection because it's a new way to play the card massively, even though it's just adding the word activate because of the way discard and mechanics work. So let me know down below what cards are the next big contenders for activate. Hopefully the devs see it. And anyway, guys, have a good one. Have a great one. Thanks for hanging around. Till the next one. Happy snapping. Oh, yeah. Subscribe.